Hello again my friends, this is the boy and his dog, and welcome to the channel where I talk about, play, rank and review games on the Evercade old and new. In today's episode we finish our Deeper Butchers the 4th Piko interactive collection with my final ranking of all 10 games in the collection and giving my final thoughts on the cart as a whole. There have been some highs and lows for me on this collection, more so than the simultaneous release Sunsoft 2 collection. But please remember, with the ranking, it's mostly just for fun, and sometimes I'll rank a game higher, not because it's technically superior, it might just have something about it I dig more. Well, I guess these games won't rank themselves. Let's get stuck in. Number 10. And it's no surprise, and at number 10 is Mermaids of Atlantis. I just don't really like it. I'm not a fan of how the bubbles work. My brain just won't brain it. I felt there are enough puzzles on Evercade, and there are really good versions of most dolls now. So you've got to be at least good or interesting in the version you're going for to stand out. And I just found it deeply frustrating, and I wasn't very motivated to keep coming back to try and get better. And that is about it. Number 9. And in 9th place is The Fidgets. I'm quite annoyed about this one. I was quite interested when first set my eyes on this title. It did a few things right. It was a Game Boy game for starts, so I love how it looked and even enjoyed the puzzle element of play, switching between the two for the different skills. But the one thing that let this game down is the time limit. You don't get enough to learn enough of the stage before having to retry. The time limit is strict, that you have to know exactly what you're doing very promptly or you ain't making it. I like a bit of trial and error me, but the time is just too tight and drains a lot of fun out of something that could be at least an enjoyable romp. Okay, I don't hate it. I'm just really disappointed. Number 8. And yes, in at number 8 is Skulljugger Revolt of the Westercans. I think I pronounced that right. We had to have some jank. This is a Piko collection after all. We love a bit of jankiness here. Interestingly, you collect gems to power up either health or projectile shot. So if you have none and a hit, you lose a life. And you can't bloody shoot anymore. The art style is kind of funky, and I like the effort they put into the various backgrounds. It's not something I really go back to a lot, I think, but I always like that we get to try out these relatively unknown janky games. And it's worth a couple of blasts at least. Number 7. And yeah, in at number 7 is Target Renegade. Now this is exactly what you expect. It's Target Renegade. It's quite a bit of fun even now. Music is on point, controls are fine. But we have seen it all before at this stage, ain't we? Even on the Evercade. There's nothing wrong with that. Just means it's around the middle mark for me, innit? Music is funky though. Number 6. And then number 6 it is, Bad Street Brawler. Now it's another slightly janky title, and I kind of dig the idea in this game that you only have set moves for each stage that you learn at the beginning of each one. It's the same buttons, they just have a different animation and attack. And certain moves work on certain enemies better. There's a tiny bit of puzzle to it too in a way. It's just a fun little system that lifts it above the usual beat 'em ups at the time. And to be honest, I had a blast. Number 5. And it's the top 5 now, and in at 5 is Zero Tolerance. Underground. Can't forget that bit. Now you could be forgiven for thinking it's the same game again, and considering how much I enjoyed the original said game, that's not the worst thing in the world. Even the way the titles scroll across the screen is the same, though the short intro does have a different tale to tell. You are again trapped in a building where you must go through each floor, killing everything you find. Your different party members of choice only getting a single life before you must choose another until they're all wiped out, which I still think is a groovy idea. What's different? It's ever so slightly smoother and there's some nice graphical touches as you move through it. However, the game is much shorter than what came before, and feels more like what at the time they call a data disc and what we now would call a DLC expansion. But in some ways that's not to its detriment. If you found the first Zero Tolerance a bit of a slog, this is a much tighter affair, but the difficulty has been ramped up somewhat. Think of it as a best of with slightly shinier, nastier knobs on. Number 4. And at number 4, it's Street Racer. Now we don't have many racing games on the Evercade. There's a few, but not enough. And this is our first Mode 6 style kart racer, and I found it a lot of fun. I did have this back in the day, and I remember enjoying it then. And then there was far more competition, but on the Evercade there's little to steer you away if it's a kart racer you're really after. There's a nice selection of a little stereotypical characters, each with their pluses and minuses and animated attacks. I love the Frankenstein's monster homage. Equally, they all have their own theme stage. There's enough modes to bring you back in solo and multiplayer. Can't really complain. Number 3. And at number 3 is Risky Woods. Now when I first heard this game would be on the car, I thought it would be my number 1 when I did the ranking. And playing it, it's as fun, if hard, as I hoped. I love the different designs of each world and the creatures they're in. The monks smashing out of the statues is still a cool image, that never dies. And I like the small additions of the Amiga version, which I'm used to, which actually change up the game a little. It's so bloody hard though. Number 2. And at number 2 is Star X. I love this game, I love this game, I love this game. But what keeps it off the top spot? Now, I've got through it a couple of times, there's not much more to do, though I enjoyed the time I had, and I will go back in the future to play it all again, no doubt. Unlike the SNES game it mimics quite well, it's still missing the cool multi-route structure and deep secrets we all know and love. Anyone remember the giant fruit machine? Number 1. And at number 1, if you've been keeping track, of course, it's Glover. No, it wasn't going to be number 1. I swear, for ages it wasn't going to be. Up until quite recently it wasn't going to be. But in the end, it is the game I've spent the most time with. If you can get the swing of the thing, you'll definitely get your money's worth, time investment wise. It's just whether you can enjoy the type of game and are okay with the controls. Yeah, controls are a big thing. And if analog controls come out, then it's all bloody good. And I'm still going back trying to get those sodding cards. Ultimately, I've had fun, even if I'd seen the ball fall off ledges like 1 zillion agonising soul-crushing times. Call me crazy. Oi, I heard that. And there we have it, my ranking of all 10 games on the 4th Piko Interactive Collection. And as for my final thoughts on the car as a whole, I can't lie, as with most Piko collections I had a lot of fun, and there's always something random and new I've never heard of before. They're always great for shedding light on more obscure titles. For me, there were definitely high highs and low lows here. In the end, I was disappointed with the Fidget and the Mermaid Bubble game. I had no urge ever to return to them again. We've had some decent slap bang in the middle titles for me, with the likes of the janky Skulljagger and Street Ball and the much better known Target Renegade. And the rest are a collection of games that I think are definitely enough to convince a purchase. A fun Mario Kart style racer, a fantastic Star Fox style shooter, a rock hard but stylistically awesome platformer, and a decent sized 3D platformer filled to the brim with ideas and bloody madness. I'm sure you will have different opinions from me, and as always, I'd like to hear them as well. If you've made it here to the end of the episode, thanks ever so much for joining me. Leave a thumbs up or comment if you'd like. Even if not, I'm just chuffed your picture head in for a goosey gander. As always, I hope you're having the most awesomest of days, my friends. And until next time, be singing.